All right. Good afternoon. Fade to Black breaking news for this Tuesday, February 28th, 2023, last day of the month. This is all of the news that you need. I'm Jimmy Church. On this day in history, OTD 1953, Cambridge University scientists Watson and Crick announced that they have discovered the double helix chemical structure of DNA. On this day in 1953. Big day. Fader fact, fully vetted. Here's your fader fact today. Cows can walk upstairs, but not down them. And that is your fader fact. Pop that in your brain. Think about that for a second. That's your fader fact. Let's get to the breaking news. Lots of news today. Police in Peru have seized a mummified human between 600 to 800 years old from a former food delivery man who claimed to have had it at his home for 3 decades. The mummy was in the isothermal bag the man once used to deliver food to people's homes. The man, 26-year-old Julio Cesar Bermeo, will remain in detention while investigators look into the case. Bermeo told local media that the mummy, who he called Juanita, was, quote, like my spiritual girlfriend, end quote. According to the Ministry of Culture in Peru, the pre-Hispanic relic was a mummified adult male. That's right. An adult male individual from Peruvian Andes, more than 800 miles southeast of Lima. Quote, it's not a Juanita, it's a Juan, end quote. A specialist at the ministry affirmed, adding, the mummy was of a man of at least 45 years old. There you go. Now, in a scientific first, researchers from the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology in Japan and the University of Naples Federico II in Italy have recorded brain activity from living octopuses moving freely and going about their octopus business. This was accomplished by implanting electrodes into the animal's brains and data loggers under the skin that could record 12 hours of brain activity. What precisely the recordings mean has yet to be decoded, but the research demonstrates a first step in understanding the strange and complicated minds of this magnificent species. Absolutely incredible. Now, Aber-Clam Lincoln, that's the name. Aber-Clam Lincoln, a quahog clam believed to be 214 years old, was found at Alligator Point, Florida, and was released into the Gulf of Mexico last Friday by his caretakers at the Gulf Specimen Marine Lab in Panacea. AmeriCorps member Blaine Parker dug up the 2-century-old mollusk while collecting shellfish to make chowder. Parker said that it's hefty enough to make 2 servings and has shells large enough to use as bowls after you cook it. But instead of eating it, he took it to the aquarium at the Gulf Specimen Marine Lab, where he works as a specimen collector. While most ocean quahogs are within 3 to 4 inches in length and weigh up to a half a pound, Lincoln checks in at 6 inches and weighs 2.6 pounds. The giant clam has been drawing crowds of up to 100 visitors a day. But now he's free in the Gulf of Mexico. The United States Federal Aviation Administration has announced a proposal to issue a $175,000 fine against SpaceX for failing to submit a collision avoidance analysis ahead of an August 2022 launch of 53 of its Starlink internet satellites. Now, according to the FAA, SpaceX failed to submit the required data ahead of its Starlink Group 427 launch on August 19, 2022. In its letter to SpaceX, the FAA states, SpaceX is subject to a civil penalty not to exceed $262,666 for each violation of federal aviation regulations. Also, SpaceX completed a successful test fire of a super heavy prototype, Starship's huge first stage booster. Did all of that earlier this month and has indicated that it aims to launch Starship's first ever orbital test flight next month in March. But the company apparently still lacks the FAA license to do so. We'll keep you updated. Now, here we go. Here's the gross out story of the day. Lab-grown mini brains could someday be linked together to act as powerful and efficient biocomputers. All of this from scientists that are talking about this now, because in a proposal published today in the journal Frontiers in Science, John Hartung, a professor of microbiology at Johns Hopkins University, and a group of researchers outlined their plans to transform 3D clumps of human brain cells called brain organoids into biological hardware capable of advanced computational tasks, a field they have named organoid intelligence, OI. As organoids share many of the cell types that enable our brains to acquire and store information, the researchers say that the brain blobs are uniquely suited for computational tasks that require them to learn quickly and without much energy spent before storing the information away in compact neuronal connections. Yeah. And that's your Fade to Black breaking news for this Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. This is all of the news that you need. Fade to Black breaking news is produced by Renee Newman. I am Jimmy Church. Go Beckley Tepe.